When the Big 12 first expanded back in 2021 and added schools this past season from the group of 5, they did it to keep themselves afloat long enough to still be considered a power conference like the ACC and Pac-12, even if the SEC and Big 10 were getting further and further away from them and becoming super conferences in their own right. They did this by adding Houston, a former power conference member from the American, Cincinnati, who used to be a member of the old Big East like West Virginia, and BYU, who was the last group of 5 school to win a national championship in football and also has a huge affiliation with the Mormons. But another group that they added was one of the most interesting in college sports, and that is UCF, which is located in Orlando, Florida. Not your typical Big 12 program. UCF has had an interesting journey through college sports, being the only school in the Division I level that has been through all levels of competition that the NCAA has to offer, and the youngest Power 5 program at just 60 years old. Their athletics program literally just started in 1979, and they're already in the Big 12. So how does a college program that young end up in a power conference? What also makes UCF so valuable? Well, according to the Big 12, when they expanded, UCF is considered one of the sleeping giants in college sports, specifically in college football. But why is that? Well, today we're going to examine UCF. So far, they're off to an undefeated season here in 2024, and UCF looks like they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. There are multiple factors why the Knights are getting so much hype and why they are seen to have such good longevity, and today we're going to explain all that. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about why UCF is a sleeping giant. So to start, the Big 12 sees UCF as a school on a massive rise. That's mostly due to the speed at which it got to this level. So far, UCF is the only program to play in every classification or grouping of NCAA football. That's Division III, Division II, FCS, Group of 5, and the Power 5. UCF was founded as Florida Tech University in 1963 and renamed to Central Florida in 1978, blowing up in popularity and student population as it slowly turned into a commuter school. When the football program was started in 1979, it was mostly a means to get more students in the door, but there really wasn't much going on for the program as a D3 institution. In just 3 years, the university had exploded enough in population that they were now a D2 school. 8 years later, in 1990, they were an FCS school, and by 1996, they were an FBS level as an independent. They spent 3 years in the MAC conference from 2002 to 2004 as a way to give the conference recruiting exposure into Florida, but then moved to Conference USA in 2005. In 2013, the program was considered good enough to join the dying Big East, which is now the American Conference, and they stayed there until 2023. They are now big enough and competitive enough for the Big 12 to consider them for Power 5 admission. This means they went from D3 to the Big 12 in just 44 years with an all-time win record of 293, 234, and 1, or aka 56%. Their facilities have improved to match this, and in just 5 years, UCF has already signed 9 blue chip recruits of 4 stars or better, which is better than some Big 12 schools, but the main thing to remember is the majority of those guys were signed once it became apparent that UCF was going to join the Big 12. Everyone remembers their national championship claim for 2017, but they also went 12-1 in 2018 and in 2013, and have 5 conference titles since 2007. You can argue they are the best football brand the Big 12 added, even with Cincinnati's undefeated season a few years ago, and there were some people even saying that they've overtaken Florida as the second best team in the state. Now that they're in a Power 4 conference, their prestige has gone up to the point where they're seen as threats in the state. They're now led by Gus Malzahn, who took Auburn to a national championship in 2014 and are considered a dark horse to win the Big 12 in 2024. Another factor that proves UCF is a sleeping giant is how many students go there. It has the second largest undergraduate enrollment in the country at around 65,000 students, which is definitely larger than some Power 5 football stadiums entirely. That means as a university, UCF has access to a whole bunch of students right from the get-go, some who may be really good at sports, obviously given its location to Central Florida, but a lot of it comes after graduation. As with a student population that large and really big graduating classes, the Big 12 is at least somewhat banking on the university to produce high-paying future donors at a higher pace than some other schools. Add that to the boost of revenue UCF gets from going from the American to the Big 12, which was a significant boost of millions of dollars per year, meaning that UCF's facilities, NIL, and recruiting could get even better from here on out into the future. Especially now that the fact that they're on an island in the Big 12, being the only team from Florida, and really the only Southern team in the Big 12 conference as a whole. According to UCF themselves, Their media-only revenue in 2023 will weigh in at around $18 million, and in 2 years that will increase to $36 million and then $40 million annually. That was compared to $8 or $9 million annually as a member of the AAC. They're already working on facility upgrades that would put them in the top half of facilities in the conference and some of the best in the country. Occasionally, schools like Iowa State, K-State, and West Virginia will recruit players from the state of Florida, but UCF will be the main Southern school in the Big 12, meaning that they really only have to recruit against ACC and SEC schools for the majority of their recruits, and not ever against other conference opponents. Florida is a very talent-rich state for recruiting, with a whole bunch of really talented players coming from there each and every year, so UCF gets to claim pretty much the entire state for themselves as far as Big 12 recruiting goes. This is a huge boost for their future potential, even with the ACC and SEC schools also recruiting the same guys. With the rise of the transfer portal too, UCF can take its pick of SEC players who didn't get as much playing time and let them play immediately at UCF, where they might fit better with Coach Malzahn's scheme or be closer to home. Big-time names such as John Rice Plumlee from Ole Miss, Jarvis Ware from Missouri, Kobe Hudson from Auburn, and RJ Harvey from Virginia have already been stars for the night, and they just recently added quarterback KJ Jefferson from Arkansas and star running back Penny Boone from Toledo. These guys fit better in UCF's scheme than they did in their old schools. UCF currently ranks 34th overall in recruiting for the 2024 cycle, which is third in the Big 12 behind Deion Sanders at Colorado and Texas Tech. They're above TCU, Utah, KU, and Arizona State. Coach Malzahn even said UCF's potential was the main reason he signed on to become the head coach just a few years ago, saying, quote, "This place is a gold mine. This program has won a lot, and a lot more than people realize. We got RJ Harvey and Penny Boone, and KJ Jefferson is a run threat too, and of course we got playmakers at wide receiver with Kobe Hudson and Xavier Townsend. So really we've got the pieces to the puzzle, and we just have to get it done on the field." This ultimately is all circular though right now. Since universities typically see a rise in student enrollment with successful sports programs, better sports means more students, which typically means more money towards the school's academics, which means more money for the school in general, which means more money to be put into sports, which makes sports better. UCF's president Alexander Cartwright said, quote, "People will see what is coming out of UCF, and we need them to realize that when you're an exceptional institution and you decide you're going to be exceptional in everything, athletics is one of those things. We're going to be exceptional in our research and everything we do academically for our students and our community." They were then able to increase their money flowing into the program once their invitation to the Big 12 got leaked through their Mission 12 program. They've only continued to increase their fan support now that they're in the conference, and they've expanded from just being a commuter and technical university to being a traditional college, as they now call themselves. Which comes back to UCF getting bigger and bigger, with Rivals writer Brandon Helwig saying, quote, "You used to see students on campus with Florida and Florida State shirts, but a generation later, that's not really a thing anymore. Florida has a lot of alumni support in Orlando, but I don't think there's any question you can say this is UCF's town now. Just being in a major metro area isn't always a sign of future success, but UCF's ability to rally pretty much most of Orlando into being supportive of them is a great sign for the school's growth in the future, and their ability to lock out bigger schools like Florida, Florida State, and Miami from being able to plant a flag there as well. Orlando is UCF City. Right now, honestly, Florida State is not the top team as it is Miami, and the Florida Gators suck, so it looks like UCF is probably nestled in at number 2 right now. UCF still has a lot of growth, recruiting, and winning to do before they're considered a premier brand, but as a whole, they're set up for success. They're a sleeping giant who has a ton of talent, a ton of money, a ton of students, and a ton of opportunities for growth. That is why UCF, in my opinion, is a sleeping giant in the college football landscape. We'll have to wait and see though, but so far they're off to a good start, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's a little bit different from my normal ones, but if you enjoyed it, be sure to give me a like, and if you're a UCF fan, let me know what you think down below. What did I get right and wrong? What do you think the future of Knights football will look like, and what other topics should I cover next? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.